Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is the closing bell for Friday, January 28th, 2022, as the East Coast gets ready for Armageddon, I guess. I don't know what the hell they're coming up with these names, but currently 2 to 3 feet, they're saying 70-mile-an-hour winds. And as myself and Scott talked about yesterday, he has his hurricanes and his battles. And we're definitely going to have ours starting tomorrow morning straight through Saturday night. Hopefully, internet, power, cable all stays up and running. May the man upstairs bless us on that part. Everyone, if you haven't gone outside to get your stuff ready, come on, please do. It's coming. There's no ways around it. It's not turning to rain, and no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's here, and it will be here for a while. So we got a weekend. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got a full board of NBA, college, some hockey. We got the weekend on Sunday where the two NFL games will kick off at 3:30 and 3 and 6:30, I think it is. Yesterday, for anyone following us on the closing bell, had a couple nice dogs that ended up coming through. We talked about Santa Clara. We talked about Washington. Good day. The eyes were good for the ECSI VIP guys. I did something that I've never done in 7 years. There was no spaghetti strainer. I gave you the full board, the whole playbook, and we went 5-2. We had 3 dogs that won outright, a nice one to end the day with Washington plus 122 and plus 3. I've complained, I've vented about how ECSI cannot close a game, and we closed the game by default, and I think Scott will laugh at this one. Washington down 1 at half. Nice run in the second half. Nice lead. They didn't score for the last 4 minutes and 28 seconds. They went 8 for 17 from the free throw line. Colorado had the ball, came all the way back with a chance to tie and go to OT or win the game outright and bricked it. So I guess we finally closed the game by default. How's that sound? But without further ado, I got to bring my man from the Palm Tree State in himself, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Scotty, my brother, how art thou?
I am doing wonderful, Jeff, and I am hoping you guys have a successful storm in terms of staying safe and keeping power and doing everything that you can do to stay warm. It's going to be cold here, brother. I mean, we're going to be in the 30s, for God's sakes, for a little while tonight. So, or tomorrow night. And this weekend is supposed to be one of the coldest times that we've had for 14 years. But it's not going to snow. It's not going to be like that. So I will tell you, I don't wish these bad storms on anybody. We go through our summertime terrors of the hurricanes and stuff, but I'm hoping that you do well. I lived in Ohio way back when I was a lot younger, and I remember blizzards, and I know what they're like, and I've been through blizzards before when I was a kid. I remember we had, and this is going to sound stupid, but we had school canceled for like 2 weeks because they couldn't get to the schools. They couldn't do this. They couldn't do that. I remember all that stuff, and I sat here and I remember watching the news going, are we not got to go to school tomorrow? We're not got to go to school, praying that we weren't going to school, and stuff, and trying to go out and play in the snow and all that stuff. But I know what blizzards are like. I've been in blizzards. I've seen them, lived through them when I was a kid. And I say kid, meaning, high school, a little younger and all that stuff. But it's been a long time, and purposefully, that's why I moved away.
Shout out to Billy Hewlin of Louisiana. Hey, Billy, you have about 6 apps now that were supposed to go live today. BetMGM, I want to say Barstool, DraftKings, and I don't know if FanDuel was there, a couple more. So Billy's one of our family members for a couple of years now, and always tough when you can't go shopping lines. I always tell everyone here, if you can have a handful of accounts to go shopping, a half point adds up. $10 on a money line adds up in the long term. Lots of times, people can't be bothered. I just got there 5 minutes before post time or before tip off or whatever. Who needs to save the 5 cents or 8 cents or whatever? But long term, they do add up there. Um, Wanted to say a quick thing here before we dive into the games tonight. I noticed our friends at South Point, Jimmy Vaccaro, Chris Andrews, and the boys moved the Kansas City and Cincinnati game to 7.5. Now, how big is that hook? Well, they just took $100,000 bet on the Bengals. So the point is, again, you got Kansas City 7 minus 115. At one point, they pushed it now to Kansas City minus 7.5, but you probably can get them at even money now. A lot of the sharps, 5, 10, 15 cents makes a difference when you step into the window with bands 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. Those all add up. Scotty, I'm not saying we're going to go into the game today or have you make a choice today, but that 7.5 versus 7 is a difference in the minds of a lot of people, especially the sharps. How do you feel with that?
I can understand that. The issue with this game, in my opinion, is going to end up being Joe Burrow's ability to keep the team in the game. He has I don't want to say an uncanny ability to do things, because he's done this, all the time when he was in college and stuff. I just find it. He's a tough-minded, never give up, just go out and play kind of kid, which means that say Kansas City's ahead by 20 points in the third quarter, and they're just we're going to cruise on into the Super Bowl. Well, that gives Cincinnati the opportunity to score a couple touchdowns and backdoor you. So that 7.5 is important if you think in those terms. I think Cincinnati's in trouble.
Well, I just wanted to say this. I've obviously been peeling a lot of layers back on the onion. If you go shop around for the Cincinnati team total, it's 23.5 juiced under. You might even see a 24 somewhere, which I just reached out to our friend Kelly Stewart to take a look at. I tend to agree. My only concern is if Kansas City comes in flat. Listen, a 0-0 first quarter just would make it, I think, even better, because hey, they got the flatness out of the system, and now they got 3 quarters to put together, 27, 28, 30 points, which they did against Pittsburgh, and obviously what they did against Buffalo. But anyways, we'll have time during the weekend, God willing. Hopefully I have internet. If you don't see me for 2 days, guys, I didn't have internet. So, but I think we'll be good tomorrow morning at least, and then maybe we can give them a lead in case we can't go live on Sunday. So let me bring up today's board for everyone here. Brought to you by wagertalk.com. If you go to wagertalk.com/free odds, you can follow along with us. Full NBA slate, college hoops, a little hockey as well. Scotty, the board is yours.
Yeah, I had a couple of things I liked early, and obviously I wasn't on the show, so I can't tell you that, I liked Charlotte this morning at 6.5. I don't like Charlotte at 8 against the Lakers. My numbers say 10, so it's close enough for me to back off of that number. But the Lakers are just one of those teams that when LeBron's not playing and when these guys aren't playing or whatever, they're just not very good. And we talked about that the last time yesterday when we were here, and kind of gave out hey, LeBron's not going to play probably in this game. And then it was announced he wasn't going to play. And then Philadelphia dropped the bus on him. So, and that's partly because, they just don't play well when their regular guys aren't there. So I'm going to stay away from that one. I'm not too, I'm not keen on having to cover, almost double digits in that game. So I backed off of that one, but I did like it in the morning. If you played it in the morning, you could have got a -6.5, and I was okay with 6.5. Not necessarily okay with 8 or 9, just because I don't want to have to go cover 10 points and then get backdoored by this team. Um, there's a couple of other weird things going on today. Um, the Miami and the Clipper game. I think that Miami is a very solid basketball team. They've been covering lots of spreads. They do a lot of things at home, but they tend to be one of those teams that likes to cover the 4-5-3 number, not the bigger number. So if I have a lean there, I would lean Clippers in that game. Not that I want to get in front of a Miami bus or anything, but I kind of think that one is a lean. And another lean that I had that I didn't play was Houston tonight against Portland. You can get them plus the 3.5. Portland's been playing better now that McCollum's back, but I don't think people have been giving Houston a lot of credit for playing at anything. And they've been playing a little better brand of basketball lately. So over the last 5 games, my numbers come out 113, 115. Houston should win the game. So anyway, that's one of those deals where I think that, and that's with McCollum's numbers back in the game for Portland. So I think Houston's actually playing a little better. But I found 2 spots that I did play. And the first spot that I'm playing is I'm going to lose my bananas on this game. I'm going to stand in front of the Phoenix bus today, and I'm going to go take Minnesota. I'm taking Minnesota plus the 9 points. My numbers come out that this is going to be a really close game. I've got Phoenix only by 3 points, and that's because it's just interesting. The pace of play is an advantage to Minnesota. The defense is an advantage to Phoenix. The scoring is an advantage to Minnesota. So you kind of look at this game and go, how's it going to play out and what's it going to look like? And over the last 5 games, the number comes out 110 to 111. And if you just look at the home and away numbers, it's 110 to 114. So when I start to look at the number and I get 9, and the maximum number that my computers come up with is basically 4 or 5, I'm feeling pretty good. And then I started reading a little bit more about this game, and I get it. Phoenix is probably the best team in the NBA right now, and they're a best team. But do people realize that Minnesota is on a pretty good run here? They've played in the last 12 games they've played. They're 8-4, and 2 of the losses that they've had was against Memphis and Golden State, which that's no joke either. So I'm not suggesting Minnesota is going to win this game, but I am suggesting that they can stay within the 9 points. So I like that. The other part of that game, and let me back over here to a thing that I got going on here. Phoenix, they have a lot of depth problems tonight. So if I went down the list, Ayton, Crowder, Kaminsky, McGee, Nader, Payne, and Sarek are all out. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys all out. 5 guys going to play. What do they got? 13, 14 guys on the roster. So they're going to have a depth issue playing tonight. And I like the idea that Minnesota is going to try to hang in with the 9 points. Now, the other game is kind of a weird spot here. My computers tell me that San Antonio I should be betting on, but I'm going to bet on Chicago. I know that sounds silly to go against all this stuff that you do with the computer, but the reason for that is because Chicago is now got Zach LaVine back in the lineup, and I'm not worried about Lonzo Ball as much. It's the guys that Chicago makes Chicago work is it's Zach LaVine, DeMar Rosen, and Nikola Vucevic. Those guys, and so I'm going to give you a kind of a number here. So Chicago had a very poor last 7, 8, 9 games, and Zach LaVine was not playing in any of those games. Now that he's back in there, they're playing well again. And the truth is, in the Eastern Conference, when Zach LaVine's in the lineup, they are sitting third for the entire season. I don't think people realize Chicago's that good. So I think this is a sneaky. People are thinking, "Hey, Chicago sucks. They're not going to be any good" type game, and I think Chicago goes out and wins the game and beats San Antonio. And I took them on the money line plus 105. So I took Chicago Bulls plus 105, and I took the Minnesota Timberwolves plus 9.
So we talked some one of them, Bulls team that opened up -2, 70% of the bets, 54% of the money coming in on them, yet it did flip to San Antonio. So that one caught our eye. And the other one was the Atlanta game. Atlanta opened up at 2.5 down to 1. 55% of the bets, 69% of the money also coming in on the Hawks. Both games sharper, heavier money coming on the initial dog and reverse line movement on both. I
Hey,
do see
Jeff,
what, yeah.
you might want to say what you said about that Chicago game a minute. You were kind of blinking out with the internet there.
Yeah, the internet's struggling here, guys. Apologies.
You're good now. It's just that first game that you talked about there was a little struggle where I didn't hear what you said.
Okay, on the midday market report, we had Riley on Chicago and both against San Antonio. We got a temperature on them. They've been their key players. And they're getting 4% of the money. Bullshit. San Antonio has jumped to a 1.5 point favorite. And we talked about that game and Atlanta and the Celtics, where all the bets, all the money coming in on Atlanta, who opened at 2.5, now are down to 1. And Chicago, who opened up at 2-point favorites, now 1.5 point underdogs as well. So that was our take on those two games.
Yeah, I'm going with then the only other game that I had in mind, and I think it's I kind of liked Indiana this morning, and then I'm just backing off of it now that I'm looking at who's playing for Indiana, and they've got some struggles in terms of the lineup. So I think that people are just looking at that going, "Oh my God. Oklahoma City was favored by 1 against Indiana. That can't be. Let me play Indiana." But they're not really paying attention to who's playing. That doesn't mean that Indiana won't win that game. I just am backing off of that number.
All right, let's jump on to the college. If you can jump over to pregame, Scotty, I'm going to bounce a few games off of you here. It's a shorter slate, obviously, as there's probably 120 games tomorrow, which we can break through. Go to the Ivy League. Penn at Harvard, a game that opened up at 3.5, stuck at 3.5 all day. And as we speak, Westgate just dropped it to 3. Pinnacle's got it down to 2.5. 66% of the bets, 50% of the money coming in on Harvard. Yet the line is now dropped. Now, again, this game starts at 5. It starts in 9 minutes. I don't believe in the quick movement, run to the window and chase the money. But my question to you is, what do you have over at pregame right now?
We got the line is 67% of the money, 68% of the tickets on Harvard.
Yeah, and like I said, Pinnacle just dropped it to 2.5. I thought overnight Penn plus 3.5 was interesting. Again, 9 minutes before tip off, I'm not running in to the window right now just because I saw Pinnacle drop that to 2.5. Next game, 6 o'clock start, rotation number 875, 876, Wyoming at Air Force. Wyoming opens up at 8, still 8 at Circa, 7.5 at Westgate and DraftKings and Caesars. Wyoming receiving 54% of the bets, 73% of the money. So a line freeze or even a little reverse line movement on Air Force. What's pregame saying?
They're saying 68% of the money, 66% of the tickets on Wyoming.
Okay, so obviously keep an eye on Air Force. Again, they're not a great team. Wyoming's playing better ball. I'm not telling you that Air Force is going to win this game. I think they can be competitive here. I'm just pointing out that there was a line freeze and actually some reverse line movement on Air Force. 7 p.m., rotation number 877, 878, Rhode Island at Dayton. This is not the Rhode Island team of a couple of years ago. Dayton playing some pretty good ball. A line that opened up at 6 is now 6.5 across the Vegas Strip. 59% of the bets, 76% of the money on the Flyers. What do you see, Scott?
That one is showing 69% of the money and 67% of tickets on Dayton.
Okay. So the line is moving in the right direction there. All right. Alphabet soup here. I can tell you this, guys. When I ride this team, again, another one of the kryptonites where I will go against them and they'll go box to wire and win by 20. When I go with them, they're nowhere to be found. Rotation number 879, 880. IPFW at Northern Kentucky. Northern Kentucky opened at 3. It is stuck at 3, other than DraftKings at 2.5. 51% of the bets, 74% of the money, all on Northern Kentucky. Yet a solid line freeze. They don't want to move off of the 3. What do you see in there, Scott?
Yeah, 78% of the money, 53% of the tickets on Northern Kentucky.
I think IPFW is sneaky here. Take a look at them, plus the 3, plus 135 on the money line. Staying away from Canisius Monmouth. This line is a huge public play. Buyer beware. Manhattan at St. Peter's, rotation number 883, 884. A line that St. Peter's opened at 7.5 is a flat 6 at Circa and Westgate, 5.5 at our friends at South Point. 83% of the bets, 96% of the money on the Manhattan Jaspers. The line has dropped a full 1.5, 2 points at South Point and DraftKings. What are you seeing, Scott?
I got a split over here. So this is showing 65% of the tickets on Manhattan, 56% of the money on St. Peter's.
Okay. I'm not telling you Manhattan's not the right side here, guys. I just can't follow those numbers. Friday has always been a fade the public. Why? Because it's payday. So we try to fade the public. They just got paid. They're going to run to the window, bet the favorites, bet the overs. And also on this one, too high of a ticket count and monies for us to be on the Jaspers. This next one grabs our attention. I'm curious what you're seeing for numbers. Rotation number 885, 886, Ryder. Fairfield at Ryder. 62% of the bets, 93% of the money coming in on Fairfield. Yet it opened at 3 and it's down to 2. What are you seeing there?
This is showing 56% of the money and 67% of the tickets on Fairfield.
Okay, Ryder, +2, plus 115, 118 on the money line. Live dog barking there.
But it's also probably the absolute lowest bet game on the board.
Yeah, and I can see why. It will pick up in the next 2 hours once the 5 o'clock games tip off and the 6 o'clock games. Again, it's good. Friday's great because not a lot of people play these. What is it? The MAAC, I think it is. So you can try to find some value here. Next game, Niagara at Siena, 887, 888. Siena opened at a pick now, Niagara -1, so there's a flip there. What do you have for numbers, Scott?
Yeah, this is Siena getting 53% of the money and 57% of the tickets.
Okay, so I would keep an eye on Niagara. There's a reverse line movement. There's been a flip, less tickets, less money. So Niagara -1 or -113 on the money line would be a lean here. One of the best games of the night tonight is in Buffalo. Rotation number 883, 890, Ohio at Buffalo. Ohio having a hell of a year, and Buffalo, not that Buffalo team of the last couple of years, trying to make a statement and get back into the conference race. A game where they opened up 3-point favorites, now 2.5 across the Vegas Strip. 76% of the bets, 79% of the money coming in on Ohio. That's why the line is moved to 2.5. What do you see, Scott?
Sames, but not quite as high. 68% of the money, 63% of the tickets on Ohio.
Again, Ohio reminds me of that Manhattan game, a game I'm going to stay away. I definitely can see the Ohio side there, but we would stay away from there. Too much public money for us. 889, I'm sorry, 891, 892, 7 o'clock start. Akron at Toledo. A game where Toledo opened up at 9.5 and is now 7.5 across the Vegas Strip, 7 at DraftKings. I'm showing 51% of the bets, 71% of the money, Scotty, on Toledo.
Yeah, this is not quite the same splits there. This is 67% of the money, 72% of the tickets on Toledo.
So a huge reverse line movement on Akron tonight. Take a look at them, +7.5. Marist at Quinnipiac. It's been a pick 'em all day. It hasn't moved. 52% of the bets, 73% of the money on Marist, but they haven't flipped as a favorite. You got the same splits?
No, the splits I've got is Marist 53% of the money, Quinnipiac 72% of the tickets.
All right, so there's your why it hasn't moved. This was a big move, and I wanted to talk about this. UNLV up and down. They've cashed a few tickets for us this year. They're coming into the wagon at Colorado State. This line opened at 11.5, and there was a correction, and they moved it to 15. Now our friends at Circa has just moved it to 14.5. And 55% of the bets, 58% of the money, all on UNLV, but the line literally moved 3.5, 4 points. What is your splits there?
The splits here are 52% of the money, 52% of the tickets on Colorado State.
Okay. I was curious about the correction. I don't know if there was a player for UNLV that maybe was going to be out. I would have to double check. That's not till 9 o'clock start as well. Cleveland State at Wright State, 899, 900 rotation number. A game where Wright State opened up at 1 is now 2. 52% of the bets, 93% of the money on Wright State.
Yeah, this is showing 54% of the money, 56% of the tickets on Cleveland State.
Okay, well, and I'm showing some movement on Wright State to 2. So a game I would just stay away. And the granddaddy of them all tonight at 11 o'clock, if you're still up, rotation number 901, 902, Boise State at Fresno State. A lot of at stake for league standings tonight. Fresno State opened up 1.5. Now Boise State -2. I'm showing 72% of the bets, 80% of the money on Fresno State, Scott.
Yeah, this is the other than the game, the pin game that just went off just started. This is the highest bet game. It's $59,000 bet on this game, and it's saying 65% of the money, 51% of the tickets are on Fresno State.
So there's a huge flip there on Boise State. I last night was leaning Fresno State. I think they can hold serve. They have gotten us a few times. We've gone against them a few times this year, and they've gotten us. But a lot of support, obviously sharper, heavier money on Boise State. So from the eye standpoint, keep an eye on Boise State. I leaned Fresno State last night. I still lean Fresno State, but the numbers are telling you sharper, heavier money is coming in on Boise State here. I tiptoe down to the frozen pond, see if we can see anything for anyone here. Shorter board. The Penguins opened at 235, now 245. No thanks. The Wild opened up minus 120, now 148. The Rangers played last night, I think it was, and lost. I'd keep an eye on the Rangers. I think the Rangers are a live dog tonight. They play better against weaker opponents. I'm not saying Minnesota's a weaker opponent. Rangers, we had a good feel for them early this year. We've kind of backed off there. But
Hey,
I think the Rangers, yeah.
In that game, Minnesota's moving up, right, as the favorite.
That is correct.
This is showing the Rangers 61% of the money, 61% of the tickets.
There you go. So the Wild minus the 148 is the lean there. Again, I'm not telling you to play the minus 148. I'm just saying by what Scotty just told me. Again, they're looking for Ranger money. They can't get any Ranger money, and they keep moving it up till they get Ranger money. So maybe the Wild first period, maybe the Wild puck line, but I don't want to see anyone go to the window at a minus 148. Colorado, Chicago, no thank you. This game intrigues me here. Washington, Dallas, rotation number 53-54. A game where Washington opened up minus 125. Now Dallas minus 120. 72% of the bets, 75% of the money, Scott, on Dallas.
Yeah, this is showing only 55% of the money, but 69% of the tickets on Dallas.
Okay, and this is a Washington team's offense that is nowhere to be found lately. And so now people have seen that. They're jumping on Dallas. Hey, if I can get the Caps at plus 110, 115, I'm an open-in number guy, okay? Vegas opened them Washington up minus 125 for a reason. They wanted Dallas money. They got Dallas money. So Oshie and Ovi, I think they're a sneaky play today, plus the 110 or plus 115. And the Bruins, they can go pound sand, what they did to us against the Avs 2 nights ago. Opened up at 315, now minus 294 at Arizona. I don't care if they won 28-0 today. They really, really stung us good. Closing thoughts, Scott.
Closing thoughts are we're one day closer to football, man. That's what I'm saying. And I'm hoping that we can get this baseball negotiation completed by a certain time, and that I can get to work on some baseball preview stuff. So I'm excited. I'm just, I do the numbers. I like the numbers. But I'm just not this big, huge basketball guy. So I like to bet on some of this stuff. I like to bet on the games. But I'm way more interested in a couple other sports than I am the basketball. That doesn't mean I don't like the basketball and play it and try to make money on it. We were doing pretty good there. Last couple of days, it hasn't been so good for me in the NBA, but I haven't been putting out 7 plays and doing all kinds of crazy stuff either. It's just been 1 at a time, 2 at a time. And I need to win some here. So I haven't won for like 3 or 4 days. So I'm expecting to see some returns coming back on the NBA again here shortly, but I'm excited to get these games down to where then we can get to the Super Bowl. I think we're going to have a good NFC game. I think the AFC game I'm not sure about. And then when we get to the Super Bowl, boy, that's going to be something that we're going to have to figure out too as we go along, just because I don't know who's going to be playing in it from the NFC side.
And I can't wait. Scotty puts his heart and soul into his MLB preview book guide that we will share to our followers. Breaks down all the teams, the divisions, gives you some insight, real hardcore numbers. So we're excited with that. I think what we're going to do this year, myself and Scott, is we will have a show for each division, and we'll break down the AL East, West, and Central, and the same with the National League. And then probably bring up some futures that we can talk about, maybe some potential home run leaders, Cy Youngs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
That thing's like 150 pages, guys. I mean, it's not like it's a little thing. And what I guess the way I put it out there, and I'm not the end all be all, but it's 25 to 30 pages on how to look at gambling on baseball. And I do it every year. So there's probably been, I don't know, it's 3, 4 now years doing these things. There's probably 120 pages of how to bet on baseball if you got every one of those guides and put them together in the first 30 pages. It's its own book. And then there's team breakdowns. Go ahead.
We might have to have you search through those 4 books and put that book together.
It's possible. And then there's the team previews and the breakdowns of the players and stuff. It's not a guide for the fantasy guys. It's more of a here's kind of where you're going to go, the gambling aspect of baseball, what to be looking for, certain things, certain breakdowns, and I take suggestions. So if there's things that people want me to write about in regards to what you think you want us to talk about in terms of baseball betting, or you have questions or concerns or whatever. So we went over, like last year, I think it was the first five on the run line and minus the half a run. And I think we wrote some stuff in there about that. That's a pretty valuable play if you're not playing it, and how to use it and what kind of strategy to use. There's other theories that people have where they, Jeff mentioned it to me off air the other day, said something to the effect of, hey, look, when you were talking about pitchers, when you're doing the handicapping, you're handicapping starting pitchers. So why not bet them in the first 5 innings? Well, that's what a lot of people do. And you'll hear tons of handicappers on the Twitter and everything else going, oh, first five, everything. Well, if you're really good, you can handicap the bullpen. And if you handicap the bullpen right, and you know who's going to be pitching and you know how it's going to go, you got an edge over everybody else. So the other part of that is there's a strategy to that. And those have been in the books before. So there's a lot of different things. So if people have questions or concerns or suggestions of things to write about, I can put that stuff in there too.
All righty. Any questions, comments, concern? You can find myself at EC Sports Invest. You can find Scotty, obviously, at Webby20 MLB. I ask this every day. I'm just going to ask again. If you guys can do us a favor, run over to YouTube at East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe. It's free. Do the same over at Twitch. If you haven't downloaded either one of those apps, please do. We're going to start be doing some live streaming sooner than later there. Second of all, special shout out and thanks to all our loyal followers, Mr. Lucky, Billy Hewlin, Marty Lowe. You guys are invaluable. We can't thank you for enough. Even on social media, giving us the shout outs. Mr. Lucky, your content, your gifts, your trivia is priceless. And we can't thank you enough. And we'll do everything in our power to put some money in your pockets. We know the trust is there. We know the support's there, and trust us. The bigger the national platforms, you're coming with us. Obviously, once family, always family, and we can't thank you enough for that. Lastly, Mr. Governor Baker, I guess, is having a press conference. Imagine that while we're live. How dare you, Mr. Baker? He's making sure everyone stays off the roads tomorrow. I think mostly we'll be probably off the roads on Sunday as well. If we're lucky, we'll be up and running for Monday. So if you haven't got your eggs, I was going to say eggs and bacon, but if you haven't got your eggs, bread, and milk by now, they're probably out at all the local stores. Brace yourself, get all the electronics charged up, get the candles, the lights. If you got a generator, get it ready because you might need it. So best of luck with the plays tonight. Always remember this. If you are investing tonight, always invest and wager responsibly. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number there. Ask for help. Why? Because we care. We want you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. Have yourself a night. It's Friday. The weekend's here. Stay in your lane. Enjoy the games. Have some fun. Make it a family night. And myself and Scotty will see you bright and early tomorrow morning for the breakfast bankroll. That's as long as I have internet. So see you soon.